Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining me tonight on a very special episode of Spanning the Need. I'm your host, Anthony Spano. Tonight, we're going to talk about the 900-pound gorilla in the room, politics. We'll talk about the issues at hand so you, the voter, can decide who the best candidate is to vote for. I'm happy to say that I have great representation from each of the campaigns and likely voters to tell them why you are voting for your respective. Tonight we have, for representing President Donald Trump's campaign, host of Tracy and Friends, Tracy Winbush. Thank you, Tracy. Trump voter and likely voter, Dr. Adam Fuller, author of 12 Reasons Why Jews Should Support Trump, if I got that correct. And for the former vice president and candidate Joe Biden, the mayor of Toledo. Mayor, please don't hurt me if I mispronounce this last name. Mayor Wade Kropetskyzik. If I butchered that, I apologize. And Biden voter Andy Volinsky. I do apologize. Everyone, thank you for joining me. I hope you're enticed of what we're ready to plan in for tonight. Thank you all for coming. So let's get down to it. Let's start right off the bat. So we're right in the middle of politics. We're a week and a half away from the election. So let's get right down to it. Raise your hand if you voted for Hillary Clinton in the election in 2016. Okay, one person. Two people, okay. Now, who voted for then candidate Donald J. Trump? Raise your hand. Okay, so you guys are both sides are sticking with the same candidate over the last 4 years, and the other side is still voting. You're looking to vote for Joe Biden. So let's dive right into that. So on a July 27th, August 2nd peer research study, they said the top 4 issues that said they are very important to the voters are economy, healthcare, the Supreme Court appointments, and COVID. I'm going to start with, all due respect, the incumbent President Donald Trump's representative. Are those still the top 4 issues of the campaign?
I think it's more about freedom in America, and then it goes into those issues. I think the Trump supporter today is all about the Constitution and keeping America free, and it not becoming what we believe the left will turn it into.
And let me go to Mayor. Mayor, the economy, healthcare, Supreme Court appointee, and COVID. Those were the top 4 issues in beginning of August by likely voters. Are those still the top issues of the Biden campaign?
I think so. That's a pretty good list. Certainly, the economy is top of mind. I just don't know how else to say it. I mean, numbers. I guess the old expression is numbers don't lie, but liars can sure use numbers. The fact of the matter is, the Donald Trump, by the end of his first term, will have presided over an economy that lost 5 million jobs. That is literally the worst record on jobs since they began keeping the statistic 100 years ago. That's just hard to run away from, and it's one of the reasons that the president has lost so much ground in Ohio in the last 4 years. So certainly that's important to Biden voters. The COVID crisis is on the top of everyone's minds. Sadly, by the time Election Day rolls around, we'll probably have had about 250,000 deaths in this country from a virus that was for too long ignored and called a hoax, and whatever's going to go away by Easter or whatever kind of silliness we had to endure. All of those things are important, and so I would and healthcare certainly that remains a core issue for Ohioans. And if the Affordable Care Act is overturned, almost 1 million Ohioans will lose their health care, about 800,000 people. So I think the stakes couldn't be clearer. If you have almost 1 million Ohioans on the verge of losing their health care, millions of Americans having lost their job, and hundreds of thousands of them dying from a virus that was ignored, that's a tough environment to run for re-election if you're President Trump. So yeah, I think those are the important issues.
I will say this, out of the for Biden voters, the highest out of those four was healthcare. 84% was healthcare, but all top four are the same issues for both parties. So for the Republicans and the Democrats, it was economy, healthcare, Supreme Court, and COVID. And both for the economy, 88% of Trump voters say that's a big one for them, and 72 for them. And healthcare is for the Democrats. Well, let me ask this. So we know Scott and Adam, you raised your hand a little bit earlier, and you said you voted for the previous candidate that either was the President Trump or Hillary Clinton at the time. So has anything changed? Let's start with Adam. Adam, you're voting for Trump again for another 4 years. Why are you voting for Trump?
Well, I'm a conservative, and I vote for the most conservative candidate that there is, and that's Donald Trump. Am I happy with everything that he has done as president over the last 4 years? No. I feel also that he has had a very difficult time with something that was thrown at us all at once with COVID, and I'm not really sure that Joe Biden or Hillary Clinton or anyone else could have done a better job with handling COVID. The CDC predicted something like 2 million deaths by now from COVID, and we've seen a little bit over 200,000, which is still a large number, but would a different president have handled it any differently? And also, you have to consider the fact that the president has limited powers when it comes to these kinds of things, especially in a country where we have state autonomy and governors and state legislatures have a lot of power over these things vis-a-vis the federal government. So to your earlier question, yes, I'm still satisfied with a lot of what President Trump has done over the last 4 years, and I am more concerned about what would have been done over the last 4 years had Hillary Clinton won that election. So for me, it's just a question of which is the better of two evils. I don't want to call anyone evil, but that's the common expression anyway.
And I respect that. You have your right to, and whether I agree or disagree, that's fine. Scott,
so
you voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016, and now you're going to be voting for Biden in the 2020 election. Talk about why you feel that Biden is the best candidate.
Well, it goes back to your 4 reasons. And my 4 reasons are COVID, 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 and COVID. Because President Trump has been nothing short of an unmitigated disaster of his handling of the COVID crisis. We've heard the Bob Woodward tapes. We know that he knew how serious this was. And he loves to be on television. He loves to speak. And he got out there and saying stuff like inject bleach and it will disappear like a miracle when the weather warms up. And we all know that that's false. He still attacks people for wearing masks. Be a leader for once in your term, please. Stand up. And I'm not going to blame, of course, it's China's fault as well. But what he has done has been nothing that a leader should have done, and we have 250,000 deaths we're approaching up on, and you have to put the blame at the top, and it's Donald Trump where the blame falls for this.
And you said, and those are your top issues as well that I referenced earlier.
COVID is the only thing right now. We have people dying every day. Every day we have 49 9/11s have happened in 2020, and you have to put the blame somewhere. And that blame goes strictly to the top, strictly to Donald Trump.
Okay, so Tracy, let's talk to Tracy now. Tracy, I know you've heard all these opinions, and you heard my list of the numbers. I wanted you to respond to that about healthcare and economy. That Trump supporters feel that the economy is the biggest thing, and healthcare is actually the third biggest behind the Supreme Court and COVID. So it goes for Trump supporters, economy, Okay, Supreme Court, healthcare, and then COVID.
But I don't think the Supreme Court's going to really make a decision, make an issue, because before the election, we believe that'll be over. So we can take that out of the equation. We know that healthcare is important to everyone, because when you get sick, if anyone dies that you care about, and we care about life and the life of others. The economy has a lot to do with the freedom of America. That goes back to being a conservative and being American and having the ability to be who we are, as we are, where we are as Americans, and still be strong and to regain the strength of America that we once knew. And I think that is what the real issue is when it comes to Trump voters. The economy is important, but if you don't have freedom to spend your money, and if the government wants to take what you want and you want to turn America into something that is not America, then the economy will not work. And we need to understand those people who are American and who are conservatives, and I won't even say conservatives anymore, even not even Republicans, but just those who are put America first people are Trump people. Because at the end of the day, if I can't have an economy if I can't be an American, and I can't have health care and it be what I need for it to be if I can't be American. And if I can't be free, I can't do that. And I don't think anybody that is supporting President Trump is really looking at the total economy or COVID or one single thing now. We're looking at making sure America stays strong, America stays first, because Republicans believe in God, they believe in family, and they believe in country, in that order. And we want to go back to that no matter what.
And let me follow up. Mayor, she talked a little bit about, we know healthcare is a really big thing. We know that the Affordable Cares Act, aka they call it Obamacare, will Joe Biden's plan really bring down healthcare costs? I don't know if you heard me. Did you hear me, Mayor?
Well,
Mayor?
I'm sorry, I did not hear your question. Could you repeat it?
Yeah, we talked about healthcare, and we know that
Yes.
the president right now wants to repeal and replace. Does the Biden campaign feel that the Affordable Care Act is good as it is? I think we're having some technical things with.
Well, how about this? I'm having a hard time hearing your question. I'm hoping you're not having a hard time hearing me. But I know that the question that I believe simply say that I think everyone can agree, and President Trump has said he doesn't want to do anything to take away coverage from those with pre-existing conditions. But I think that is very much threatened right now, given the direction of the Supreme Court.
Okay. Now, I will.
I'm sure you're hearing me based on our technical difficulties.
Yeah, I think we're having a little technical difficulties. You're coming in and out. I think. Let me go to Adam and Scott. You both work. You both have jobs. Have you heard of anyone that may have gotten the Affordable Care Act and health costs have been low, or do we know that healthcare is going up no matter what we're in?
Well, I previously used to be, I worked for a healthcare company that helped people enroll in the Affordable Care Act. I traveled everywhere from Philadelphia to Cincinnati and everywhere in between. Our funding was cut by the Republicans. They tried to repeal the Affordable Care Act. They weren't able to do that, so they cut funding to positions like mine. I will be the first one to say that Obamacare is not a perfect system. The problems with it are that the insurance companies are involved with the pricing. But other than that, it is definitely a step in the right direction. It is light years better than the system we had in place before. It is not Medicare for all. It is not single payer health care, which would benefit all Americans. But yes, it has helped people, but there still are issues with it.
This is one of the issues that I have problems with the Republican Party on, because I think the Affordable Care Act is a very bad bill, but they're unable to get their act together and find a way to replace it with something else. They had a lot of time to deal with health care before Obama was elected, and they didn't really do anything. A lot of it has to do with the fact that the Republican Party is very fractured and can't really get the votes together in Congress to put something together that everyone can agree on. But the notion that Trump simply wants to repeal it is half true. There's another side to it. He wants to replace it. The Republican Party just cannot agree as to what to replace it with.
And I think that's a good thing, is because when people talk around all levels, not just including the Democratic Party, but the Republican Party, and I know this, and correct me, Tracy or Mayor, if I'm wrong on this, that they would like to repeal and replace, but no one has seemed to come up with a plan to do it. Is that a pretty Tracy or Mayor?
I know from what I can see, when you're looking at healthcare, it is a big bite, and you're looking at many states and many people, and Congress is fractured. So when it comes to getting anything done in a bipartisan way, because of the way that we have polarized our political system in its entirety, I think that's why we are where we are as a nation, because we're still not having a conversation about the important issues, even within the election. We need to be honest about that, because there's a lot of things that I'm quite sure the five of us can agree on. The problem is Congress can't agree on anything, and they put everything on the administration, and it's not supposed to be that way.
Mayor?
Yeah, well, I would say that, look, if we're going to talk about it in terms of Democrats and Republicans, Democrats are happy with the Affordable Care Act. Congress passed it, the president signed it, and it's been blessed by a Republican Supreme Court not once but twice. We are entirely happy with his health care to 20 million people who otherwise wouldn't have had it, and coverage to those with pre-existing conditions. So we're happy with it.
But that's because we're not paying for it.
Seems like he's not. And when he was running for president 4 years later, when he was running for 4 years later, he said that he was going to introduce a plan within his first 90 days to repeal and replace Obamacare. That was 3.5 years ago, and we're still waiting. So if you want to change it,
I think it's very misleading though to call that the.
I want to hear the plan. I'm excited.
Hold on,
I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear it. Yeah.
I think it's very misleading to call that a Republican Supreme Court that upheld Obamacare 2 times. Those were 4 appointed Democrat-appointed justices plus John Roberts.
Who was appointed by a Republican.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
But it's
You're
not
right.
supposed.
That's not a Republican court.
Okay. Don't make me turn on mics. Go ahead, Mayor. Sorry. Hold on, Tracy. Go ahead, Mayor.
Let me say this.
We're having technical
principles to be partisan, I suppose, to the extent Obamacare. All right. How about this? Scott can handle it for me.
I got you, Mayor. I got you.
Difficulties aren't going to work for me. So I tried my best.
Thank you.
He's having some serious technical issues.
As far as Obamacare goes, Dr. Fuller said it himself. We'd love to hear a plan from the Republicans. We've been waiting 8 years of Obama. almost 4 years of Trump, and they have nothing. Is a unicorn going to show up at the last minute and come up with their, oh, we're going to repeal this terrible, terrible Obamacare and replace it with what? With what? We've been waiting long enough for nothing.
They have multiple plans.
I'd love to hear them because they don't.
They don't them already. Paul Ryan displayed one of them. Okay. And then the Freedom Caucus also has their plan.
Going back to how people die on the streets is what Paul Ryan's plan was.
But okay. I'm sorry, Scott. Okay, I want to move on. I love the passion. I love the passion. We're gonna go on to the next subject because we know healthcare. We've hit healthcare on a variety of different areas, and I want to keep going. I want to talk about the economy just real quick. So there was this is from factcheck.org that the number corporate profits set records until this year, stock prices and home prices set records, paychecks grew faster than prices, poverty decreased. That's under the president as of right now, up until pandemic. But up until pandemic. Now, there has been where the economy has lost, like the mayor said, millions of jobs. So my question to Adam, and let me go with Adam and Scott first. Adam, I'll go with you, is are we seeing this in an economy that is really losing jobs, or is it just that it's turning tide towards tech and advancement?
I'm not quite clear on your question, so can you rephrase it?
Okay, I apologize. Maybe I wasn't clear. I'm reading right from my notes. The question I had is the economy. We lost, as the mayor said, we lost 5 million jobs under the economy. Is that because of, this is before pandemic, so throw pandemic out, so we're clear on that because there's been millions of jobs lost. The question is how will we get, is it because we have tech jobs that are increasing that are taking away from these jobs, or is it that the market is just not strong?
Yeah, I think that the nature of the economy has changed dramatically. I think that President Trump has been trying through trade negotiations to change America's trade relations with other countries to give us a stronger footing. Personally, I was supportive of NAFTA prior to, it's not that popular around here, but I was, and so I disagree with much of Trump's trade policy. But I think there is still something to the idea that we can create more manufacturing jobs by giving, renegotiating the trade deals with our trading partners, and this new USMCA might be a step in that direction.
Scott, do you feel that the economy is growing because we're losing jobs, or is it that we're just losing jobs in general?
So basically, in 2009, the Bush administration handed over the Great Recession to President Obama and Vice President Biden. They took nearly the next depression, and they grew the economy so well with stimulus, with spending, with things I don't necessarily agree with at the time, which was the bailouts, but they made the economy grow, and they handed over a booming economy to the Trump administration. And yes, for the first year, for 2017, there still was growth. But then the Trump administration, their policies came into play. And under their policies, the rich got richer, the poor got poorer, and the middle class was shrinking. And if you and your stats don't count COVID, you say, but besides the pandemic, well, if we didn't count all 4 quarters, the Atlanta Falcons would have won the Super Bowl. My point is, you have to put in his lack of leadership with COVID into the economy. We have record unemployment right now. We have so many people without jobs. The economy is atrocious right now. And yet you've got Republicans talking about how great it was before. He was handed a great economy and turned it into what we have now.
May I ask a question?
Hold on. Yeah, give me 1 second, Adam. Let me hold that thought. Let me jump Tracy into this.
No. I'd rather hear Adam's question first. Because
before the question, Tracy, I need to get your take on jobs. What are the plans for Trump moving forward on jobs?
one, bringing jobs back here from overseas and making sure we're going to grow in manufacturing in all of the top areas and bringing things stateside. During this pandemic, we've learned a lot. If we stop and look, and we learned that we have too many things that we're having allowed to be built offshore. We found out that our supply chain is very, very fractured, and we're in a bigger situation than we want. We're not actually not talking about it, and we should be, which is our place in the world when it comes to the economy and what we're going to do about China and about our trade policies. Because right now, our trade policies, if it had not been for President Trump, we would have really been upside down in this pandemic. And I applaud him for being there, even though he may not be the most presidential in articulation and in statue and one that you want to hang on your wall like JFK. He has gotten things done at rapid speed that only a businessman could have gotten done, because a politician would have waited for a poll to make sure before he took somebody's temperature. He does what he believes is right, and that's why we stick with him. He gets in front of these. So when we're talking about the economy, we're talking about how do you rebuild America for the 21st century, not for the 20th century. How do we make sure that America is still strong? How do we be a part of the technical and the artificial intelligence and where the world is going, and still be the elite and not be just one of the norms? Because we still want to be elite as Americans and leaders as Americans, and only President Trump can put us in that situation. Vice President Biden would want to put us into a place where we are more globalized, where we are more neutral and we're more socialized, so we look like everyone else in the world, and that's not who America is. America needs to be elite so the world can be balanced.
Now, will you accept the question from Adam Scott?
Hey, absolutely. It's your show.
Go ahead. Hey, I'm just trying to be the good moderator here. That's all. Go ahead, Adam, with your question.
Yeah, my question was in response to what you were saying, Scott. Why is it then that a Gallup poll shows that more people than the last two administrations say that their lives are better off now than 4 years ago? So similar polls were conducted 4 years after Obama was president, and another one 4 years after George W. Bush was president. This poll by Gallup shows that more people, the vast majority, actually say that they're better off today than they were 4 years ago. And this is a higher percentage than we saw one term later in the past two administrations. So it seems to me that people do feel like their lives are improving.
You mean today? Like today where there's people dying on the streets of a global pandemic, where we can't go anywhere without wearing a mask, where small businesses are closing? I mean, I'm not sure what that sampling size was, but just open your eyes and look around. There is no way in 2020 that we are better off than we were 4 years ago.
I go outside and I don't see anybody on the street dead.
No.
Have you been to a hospital? Have you been to a hospital in a big city during the height of this pandemic? No, you haven't. You haven't.
I will say this. I will say this. Where we are in Northeast Ohio, Western PA, we've been very fortunate compared to like New York City or Florida or so we've been very fortunate. I will say that in our area. But some of the pictures that I see, did I lose Scott?
He's frozen.
I might have. He's frozen. But Scott, you're frozen. But I just saying and following up that we're fortunate, at least in middle of Ohio, in Western PA, that we've not seen what other cities have seen or other areas of the country. So we're very fortunate of that. Let me follow up. Can I follow up a question with you, Adam?
Yeah.
That Gallup poll, when did that poll come out?
No, it was a couple of weeks ago, and you can read about it in Newsweek. So we're not exactly talking about a right-wing publication.
Exactly. And so I just like to ask, and I think I lost. I'm losing everyone.
Anthony, are you losing your Democrats here? I mean, there's really a problem going on here now.
It's called technical issues. I wouldn't worry. Scott, knowing Scott, he'll come back on. He's been good. I'll ask this, and so we talk about what people are doing. Do you feel? And actually, Scott just got back on. His guy just got him back on.
Yeah,
Scott,
sorry about that. Woo, sorry about that.
Scott, you can't leave us here like that.
I know,
Yeah,
I know. What was I thinking?
You were in great place. So what I followed up when you got froze was that when you were talking about people dying and stuff like that, I said, just for the record, we're very fortunate in Western PA, Eastern Ohio, that we have not seen the huge increases like you've seen in New York City,
right,
or those big cities. So we've been very fortunate, but I think everyone, no matter what station you watch or what news source, you've seen the just in general pictures. So I'll go ahead and finish your thoughts, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much nailed it right there. Yeah, we're fortunate where we are that it's not as bad as other parts, but we're going to have 250,000 people dead. Like, that is not better off than we were 4 years ago. I don't care what polls you look at, but live in reality. 2020 has been awful.
But it's not Trump's fault. You can't blame the president for something that came in unannounced. And before you go to that little snafu, and the man said where he knew it, you could not incite panic. That would not have been a good thing to come out and say, the house is burning down, let's catch it on fire. That would be bad.
Tracy, can we panic now with 250,000 people dead? Is it time?
You cannot panic now either.
Do you know anybody who died? Do you know anybody who's died?
Listen, not only do I know anybody, no. My co-host on my radio program was the 40th person to die here in the state of Ohio. Please, the first person that died in the state of Ohio, I knew. I am just trying to get over it right now, myself personally. So please don't go there with the COVID.
But you're not going to panic. You're not willing to panic, and you know people have died.
Okay.
When you're going to pray, you do not panic.
Okay. I'll turn off microphones. I appreciate the enthusiasm, but sometimes a man of my caliber has to kind of step in and say hi. And look, I got a couple good laughs out of you. Now, I will admit there has been a lot of,
Yeah, I'd say just one thing here about the COVID.
Go ahead, Adam.
I feel like the Democrats are politicizing COVID, and I understand why they're doing that. They have an election they want to win. Right?
Correct.
They do anything differently than what Trump did? That's the big question. Tell us, what would they do differently?
Well, believe in science, number one.
And not believe in the American people.
I can hear you from where you are. You don't have to come up to the mic. And I will say this. So let's rough numbers. When the Spanish flu happened, okay, the Spanish flu killed 2 million people and infected, I think, 30 million worldwide. Okay. And I think what a lot of people were using were those stats on how to do it at the very beginning, not knowing this disease. Would you agree with that statement? Do I hear yeses? Shake your heads.
Yeah. Basically.
Okay.
Yeah. Whatever they knew.
Well, because we didn't know much. We didn't know much about COVID when it first came out. So you can only sample and do what you need to do. You just improve with the stuff you get. So my thing about it is that no matter who's politicizing it, Democrats, Republicans, don't you think that coming together in a national crisis is a good thing? And have we tried? I'm just asking a question. I'm not saying we have or not. Go ahead, Tracy.
No, we haven't tried.
Okay.
We haven't done that. We politicized this from the onset, but we politicized everything from the time that President Trump won. We've never had he was correct when he said there was no peaceful transition of power. We have not. This administration has not had that opportunity, and so when you run into a train wreck like a pandemic, There was a lot to run up against because within the last 4 years, we have not stopped and done anything important except for try to impeach President Trump and get him out. It has been politicized from the beginning all the way until this point.
Tracy's right. Tracy's right. It has been politicized, but it started being politicized by President Trump when he did away with the pandemic response team that was put in place by President Obama. Because it had President Obama's stamp on it, he did away with it. President Obama had to deal with H1N1. He had to deal with the Ebola virus. He put in place a pandemic response team to handle an issue like this. Now, I'm not saying they would have cured everything, but it was a great start. And as soon as Trump gets in there, anything that had Obama's name on it, he did away with. So that's him politicizing the issue first.
There was nothing inside of our reserves. They had not replenished what was needed to be replenished inside of FEMA. And this is not Obama's fault. This is not Bush's fault. This is not Clinton's fault. This is decades of administration passing the buck. And right now it fell into President Trump's lap. We need to be honest about that. And that goes not only with the pandemic, but that goes with foreign policy. That goes with our currency. That goes with our trade. We are at a position right now in the 21st century that America has to reset itself and become a better and stronger place and a better and stronger person.
Hey, look, we agree on something. We agree on something. I love it. Adam, you have anything further on COVID before I move on?
No.
Okay. But I appreciate everyone's enthusiasm and everyone has. I just want to agree to disagree, no matter what that is, and move on. So here's my question. My question is for and I'm Matt or Scott. I'm going to put you kind of on the spot. Unfortunately, are you okay with that? Because we lost our mayor.
That's okay. Let me add it.
Okay. Now we talk about how the world has changed over the last 50 years. What plans does Biden have to really boost the United States in his campaign?
You don't have to look to the past 50 years. You can only look to the past 4 years and what has transpired under Donald Trump. What Joe Biden is trying to do is to return to normalcy. The crazy world that we live in under Donald Trump. Like I said, President Obama and Vice President Biden, they took a floundering economy and made it booming. They handled pandemics that they had to deal with by listening to science. And that's just common sense stuff. And that's what Joe Biden is going to do. He is going to end the chaos and the absolute nonsense that we've had for Donald Trump for these 4 years and give us some kind of return to normalcy here.
I'll go to Tracy on this. And what plans does the president have moving to the next 4 years of his in the White House?
I believe right now he is going to secure America as well as far as where we are going to be inside of the world, which means and I believe after this election, when we finally come out with an outcome, and I pray that we win, I believe that we will unite this nation because we're going to have to. Because we're going to have to take down the smoke and mirrors and really come together as a nation, call right, wrong, and do some things differently. And I believe that's what President Trump will do. Science is important, but science without common sense is just what? You just can't. You got to have both. And I believe.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Tracy.
With where we're headed is going to be for a stronger small businesses. Sure, and give opportunities to people that haven't had opportunities. Give people with wings some innovation, because we need innovation back in America again. We've got to put it back into the hands of the people, because if we don't put it back in the hands of the people as it's supposed to be, we're only as strong as our weakest link. That's what America is about. And our President Trump will put us back in, because the money will go back into the hands of the American public, not just the big people, because I need to go to work so that I can make money. Rich people pay people. Broke people can't pay people. And I do not want a check from the government and not have a check from an employer.
Let me go to Adam. Adam, I have a totally different question for you. And here's my question. You're the author of 12 Reasons Why Jews Should Support Trump. Could you give me a top couple issues on why that's true?
Well, number one, he has moved our embassy to Jerusalem and is finally recognizing Israel's sovereignty over Jerusalem and the Golan Heights, and has vociferously defended Israel's right to self-defense. He's pulled out of the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, also known as the Iranian nuclear agreement, which I think would be absolutely devastating. But also, let's also not forget, and this is not something that just applies to Israel. It's the entire Middle East. He is actually, it's really impressive. He is actually brokering peace in the Middle East between countries that normally would never want to talk to each other. And we're talking about real peace, not like Egypt and Jordan where they're just ceasing hostilities. Actual friendships, normalized relations where now, you can order kosher meals in hotels in the United Arab Emirates. And, Hebrew is written on literature, and signage in Bahrain. I mean, it really is amazing. And we can see now that the Saudis, like 80% of them, want to see peace, a similar kind of peace happen with Israel. So we're seeing this new, creation of peace there. It's almost as if, this man actually deserves a Nobel Peace Prize. He would never get one, but he deserves one. There's no question about what he has done. It is absolutely phenomenal. Right?
So pretty amazing.
Yes.
Give me one more. I'm sorry, Tracy. Give me one more point, Adam.
On my list?
Yes.
Beyond that, I get into issues like, he supports school choice, which is important for, Jewish day schools and things like that. He's also pro-Second Amendment, and his judicial appointees who are not activists would also support that. His judicial appointees would support religious liberty and the protection of the free exercise clause of the First Amendment, whereas Biden's appointees would be bad, I think, on all of those issues, on all of those constitutional issues that are important to American Jews and to everybody, not just Jews, everybody, anyone in America. I mean, a similar list. People ask me, why does it just the list apply to Jews? What about all of these other different groups and ethnic populations? A similar list could be drawn up for any one of them. And as far as I'm concerned, I just happen to focus on his benefit to the Jewish people.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Someone will come up with one for another one. I guarantee it in some shape or form.
Can I steal the title?
Huh?
Can I steal the title from Adam and make 12 reasons why African Americans should vote for President Trump?
I'd love it if you would do that.
That's totally up to you, Tracy. And Scott will come up with 12 reasons why you should support Trump.
It won't happen. It won't happen.
I'm sorry.
It's not going to happen.
I apologize, Scott. I'm sorry.
It'd be a really short book.
I'm sorry about that, Scott. I didn't mean to.
That's okay.
But actually, let's talk. That's a great segue. So, Scott, give me 3 bullet points why you should vote for Biden.
The biggest one. I mean, I'll give you one. He's not Donald Trump. I mean, that's what he has to run on, and that's how he's going to win the independent voters and the moderate Republicans. They're going to side the election. Hey, we know who the ultra right is going to vote for. We know who the white supremacists are going to vote for. Trump will say anything and they'll still support him. What's going to decide this election is the independents and the moderates, the people who did not turn out for Hillary Clinton in 2016 because she wasn't well liked. Each candidate has their base, and it's the middle that is going to decide how this election goes in key battleground states like Ohio and Pennsylvania. And that's all he needs to do. He needs to point out, because now Trump has a record to run on, and it has been horrible. It has been atrocious.
and I actually this is and I'll say this: Hillary Clinton was not liked by both sides of the aisle at all.
Right. Right.
I will say that both sides of the aisle did not like Hillary Clinton. I hate to say that, but that's a true statement.
It's accurate.
I will say this. Here's a stat for you, for everyone. Now, this is as of yesterday, as of October 19th, 31.6 million people have already voted.
That's amazing. Amazing.
And that is 24% of the total amount of people that voted in 2016. And we're not even on election day.
Great job, America.
And I think we can all agree that we want you to get out and vote. We don't care who you vote for. Well, some of us care who you vote for, but just get out and vote. And I will say this, and I know Scott's from Pennsylvania. Dr. Fuller, are you from Ohio?
Not originally.
But you live in Ohio now?
I live in Ohio now, yes.
And I know Tracy's from Ohio. Here's a nice stat for you that will kind of close, kind of going towards the end of the show. The last 14 elections in Ohio, the winner has become the president. Whoever has won Ohio has won the election.
Except for JFK.
I said 14 elections. Last 14 elections. So, but hey, I love you, Adam. You like stats like I do. So what I would like to do now is I appreciate your guys' time. I would like to give you a couple minutes as like a final closing on why they should vote for the person you think. Is that okay? Is that fair? Let's start with I'll start with Adam. Adam, you have a minute. You have about 30 seconds to a minute. Why people should vote for the President Trump?
If you want to see a shakeup in the way that things are done in America, in Washington, D.C., and not have us go back to the old ways of the typical career politicians that are running our country, the typical ruling elite, and want to see things done differently, then support Trump.
Okay, I appreciate it. Okay, who wants to go, Scott or Tracy? I'll give you guys the option. Scott? Okay, Scott, wave your hand.
Yeah. I mean, people say to me, like, you have one argument. It's the only argument I need. Trump has been a disaster. His presidency has been atrocious. And that's all you need to look at. We need to put an adult in the White House. We need somebody who doesn't tweet childish things and someone who acts like a true leader. I'm sick and tired of this division and how our leader treats people that he disagrees with. It's time to go back to professionalism. I want to respect the office of the presidency, which I did even when there was people I didn't vote for in there. I can't do it under this guy. And there's a lot of people out there who agree with me. And that's what we need to do. We need a change. Things are bad right now, and Joe Biden is the leader who will put us right back on course. Thank you, Scott, for that. Tracy?
This is not, when you vote for president, it's really not about personality. It's about platform. It's about a philosophy of where you believe your base lies, and that comes again when I said people that will vote for President Trump will believe in God, they will believe in family, and they will believe in country. That is the American voter, that is the Republican voter, and that is the Trump voter for 2020. I mean, I know that everything else, we get into personal antics and personalities, but that's just not what it's about. It's really about the future of tomorrow and being able to have the freedoms to be able to serve the God that I choose, protect the family that I love, and live in a government that I can lead. We are a representative government. And I believe we have the freest man in the world in the White House. And I want that freedom to stay, whether I like his personality or not.
I would like to ask one last question because I think and I have to follow up because this is a question that I had that I was going to ask, but I blame it on me. I'm going to start with Trump's side first, and then I'll go over to Scott on this. So you said, Tracy, that African Americans support Trump, correct?
No, I said African Americans should support President Trump.
And could you explain why?
The Democrat Party has bamboozled the African American to the place where they believe that anyone that is not Democrat is a racist, and that's not true. President Trump wasn't a racist until he came down the elevator. And remember, I was a never Trumper. I was never going to support Trump in the beginning. I was a Kasich delegate, and I was going to see Kasich to the White House, and I'm now split from that. President Trump is going to give African Americans opportunity to not only participate in the rebuilding of America, but benefit. And this will be the first time in the history of African Americans and America where Black people can actually benefit from what they actually suffer. And that right there should make them vote for President Trump, because he's going to give them opportunity, because he has in the past, in the last 4 years.
Thank you, Tracy. Scott, you mentioned that people should vote for Biden because it's not Trump. Is that correct? That's what you said, correct?
Yes.
I'm up here. So I have a follow-up to that. Other than that, because of why else should people vote for Joe Biden? Because particularly, as we've talked earlier, voters left Hillary Clinton.
Mm-hmm.
They left her. So what else can people vote when it comes to Trump?
Sorry, I lost you for a minute there. Yeah, so basically, I heard part of the question, so...
I can repeat it.
Neither.
I can repeat it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, let me repeat it. So you mentioned that that people should vote for Joe Biden because it's not President Trump, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure I quoted it right. So my question to you is, why should people vote for Joe Biden other than that reason? Because in particular, as we talked about earlier, people left Hillary Clinton.
Right.
So what can voters anticipate that they should vote for Joe Biden, not because it's just President Trump, but for other reasons why?
Okay, so there's lots of different reasons. Tracy was talking about her three big things were God. Tracy, correct me if I'm wrong. Was it God, family, and country?
That's correct.
And you said those
I
are.
love this. I love this. We're actually saying actually respecting people. I love it.
Yeah. No. Actually, those are the three reasons why you should vote for Joe Biden. I myself am a Christian, and I have a family, and I love my country, and I've seen what Donald Trump has done to my country. I want good things for my family. And I want freedom of religion. I want people to be able to worship whatever faith they want to. I don't want people discriminated on based on what God. And you see that with the right. So those three things, I would say, are a hallmark of being a Biden voter, not being a Trump voter.
No, it's your party that wants to take religious liberty away from people, to restrict people's right to their own religious convictions. You know,
was that before?
They want to push secular values onto people and restrict people. This was actually on my list also. They want to restrict that.
Was that before or after Trump banned Muslims from entering the country? I forget. I'm a little hazy.
Hold on. I need to go back because everyone was talking over each other, but I appreciate it. I'll go to Adam, then I'll go to Scott. Adam, you said that the religious was in one of your reasons why Jews should vote for Trump. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And Scott, you mentioned. Could you repeat what you said again?
I said I can just speak for myself. I can't speak for anybody else.
That's fine. No, you're speaking for yourself.
Yeah, as a Christian male, what Donald Trump stands for completely goes against my Christian upbringing. What he does, how he acts, how he is not representative of my faith.
Okay, that's fine. That's I will respect that because I'm a Catholic, so I was married in a Catholic church and everything. So I'll leave
Me
it at
too.
that. And so now I appreciate everyone's time. I thank you for everyone's time. And I've let everyone speak their piece. Okay, I appreciate everyone respecting each other on this. And we wish the mayor stayed on, but we had technical difficulties. The mayor of Toledo was on earlier, but unfortunately he was unable to take because of technical issues. So, but everyone, if you'll stay on after this and we'll go forward. But everyone, thank you for joining me tonight. Everyone, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules. I really appreciate it. We will see what happened. My best advice to everyone watching, please vote. Vote for who you think is best for you and who's going to do what you need them to do in your respective, if it's President Donald Trump or Vice President or former Vice President Joe Biden. So thank you everyone for joining us. I hope you have a good night. My website is anthonyvspano.com. You can watch more podcast videos and announcements. We hope to have more of these coming down the road. Election is actually it's 2 weeks away. It's actually 2 weeks away. And hopefully by tonight, 2 weeks from now, we will know a winner. We all hope.